Thousands of years ago, a Greek poet wrote a man's name into history, but it wasn't strength or wealth that made him too legendary. It was a will stood face to face with fate, but didn't break. That man was Odysseus, and his journey became one of humanity's earliest attempts to answer a single question. How far can we go in resisting the destiny laid out for us? I'm Messiha and invite you to join me for the first episode of Odyssey Journeys.
"10 years of bloody war had finally ended, yet the smell of smoke and ash still clung to the air. Troy's mighty walls had collapsed, flames danced across the sky, and the cries of wounded soldiers and terrified citizens echoed everywhere. Odysseus, king of Ithaca, walked beside the other Greek heroes, his sword stained with blood, his armor covered in dirt and soot. But deep inside he knew one thing: returning home would be the start of a new adventure, not a simple voyage across the sea. The gods watched silently from above. Poseidon, lord of the seas, still burned with rage over the blinding of his son Polyphemus. Every furious wave, every wild wind, every storm that shook the ships carried the echo of his wrath. Yet Odysseus, with sharp eyes and a heart full of determination, stood ready to face the dangers ahead. The island of the Lotus-Eaters, the first dangerous temptation. The ship reached a mysterious island where sweet winds carried the scent of strange flowers. Trees heavy with tempting lotus fruit filled the air with an enchanting aroma, the first test awaiting Odysseus. A few of his men stepped onto the shore and, unaware of the danger, tasted the fruit. In an instant, they forgot their homes, their families, and even their desire to return. The longing to stay on the island consumed them. Odysseus shouted with urgency, "Friends, stop for a moment. This place is a trap. No fruit is worth forgetting your home or your path." With strength and clever resolve, he dragged his men back to the ship, while the island's sweet air still whispered temptation.
Wait a moment. This is a deception. No fruit is worth forgetting home and the path.
The cave of the Cyclops, facing pure terror. After leaving the Lotus-Eaters, the ship reached a dark and rocky shore. Waves crashed violently against the stones, and a massive cave cast a haunting shadow across the water. This was the home of Polyphemus, the one-eyed giant. Odysseus and his men entered the cave and stared at the food and wine inside. But suddenly a thunderous voice roared, "Who dares enter my home?" The giant devoured several of Odysseus's men, and fear and fury ignited within him. But with cunning, Odysseus offered the giant wine and said, "My name is Nobody." When Polyphemus fell into a drunken sleep, Odysseus drove a hardened stake into his single eye. The giant screamed, "Nobody is hurting me!" That night, Odysseus and his surviving men clung to the undersides of the giant's sheep and escaped with pounding hearts. This moment became a symbol of wit triumphing over brute strength. Circe's Island, the Enchantress's Trap. After the Cyclops, the ship reached the island of Circe, the powerful sorceress who turned Odysseus's men into pigs with her magic and held them captive. With focus, courage, and the aid of the gods, Odysseus broke her spell and freed his companions. Even the winds and waves seemed to bow to his resolve, as if nature itself stood in awe of human cleverness and bravery.
This wasn't victory, it was warning. The sea had not finished with Odysseus, and what awaited him was darker than any storm he had faced. The journey forward would demand more than strength. And what comes next is still waiting.